Chemical bonding, formal charge. In this tutorial, we will be going over the definition of formal charge, how to calculate formal charge, the purpose of formal charges, and then with some worked examples at the end. Formal charge. The formal charge of an atom in a molecule is the charge the atom would have if all bonding electrons were shared equally between the bonded atoms. The formal charge on any atom is the difference between the number of valence electrons in the atom and the number of electrons assigned to that atom in a Lewis structure. Calculating formal charges. So there's basically two approaches that you can take to calculate formal charge. The first is taking the number of valence electrons in an atom and subtracting that from the number of non-bonding electrons plus half of the number of bonding electrons. Or another way to visualize this is the number of valence electrons in an atom minus the number of non-bonding electrons plus the number of covalent bonds that atom is bonded to. Let me show you a few examples. HF is a polar molecule due to the electronegativity difference between hydrogen and fluorine. Since fluorine is more electronegative than hydrogen, fluorine has a partial negative charge and hydrogen has a partial positive charge. So what does this look like? Well, we have hydrogen, and that is covalently bonded to a fluorine. And the fluorine is going to have 3 non-bonding electron pairs that surround it. The hydrogen has an electronegativity of 2.2, while the fluorine has an electronegativity of 4. And because the fluorine is more electronegative, the hydrogen is going to have a slightly positive charge associated with it, and the fluorine is going to have a slightly negative charge associated with that. But the formal charges of hydrogen and fluorine in HF are both 0. So what does that mean? Well, if we do the calculations here, we can see this 1 and this 0 and this 1/2 2 that equals 0, and this fluorine, which is 7 and then 6 and then 1/2 of 2, that's also going to equal 0. But let's remind ourselves and break down what these numbers mean in comparison to the actual molecule. So here's our Lewis structure of HF. So let's look at hydrogen. Hydrogen has 1 valence electron. So number of valence electrons in the atom, 1. It has 0 lone pairs or non-bonding electron pairs around it. So that is that 0. So number of lone non-bonding pairs of electrons, 0. And we're going to add that to half the number of bonding electrons, also known as the number of covalent bonds. So there's 1 covalent bond here, and in that covalent bond is 2 shared electrons. So this 2 represents the 2 electrons that are shared between the hydrogen and the fluorine. So we could say 1/2 of 2. Or we could just say the number of covalent bonds, which is 1. So 1 minus 1 gives us 0. Now let's look at fluorine. Fluorine has 7 valence electrons. 7 valence electrons. The number of electrons involved in non-bonding electron pairs is 6. So number of lone pairs, 6. Plus half of the bonding electrons. So again, this line represents 2 electrons, so half of 2 is 1. Or you could just look at it and say, well, the number of covalent bonds coming off of fluorine is 1. So 7 minus 6 plus 1, which 6 plus 1 is 7. So 7 minus 7, 0. And that is how we are figuring out these formal charges. Formal charges can be used to determine which resonance structure is the most favorable, in other words, lowest potential energy, most stable, with the following guidelines. The sum of all formal charges in a neutral molecule must be 0. The sum of all formal charges in an ion must equal the charge of the ion. The Lewis structure in which the atoms bear formal charges closest to zero is considered the most ideal. And a negative formal charge typically, not always, but typically, should reside on the most electronegative atom. So let's look at an example. So using formal charges, determine the optimal structure of the thiocyanate ion. So we have A, B, and C to pick from. So let's look at structure A, starting with this sulfur right here. We know sulfur has 6 valence electrons. There's 2 electrons involved in the non-bonding electron pairs, and there's 3 bonds right here. So that is going to equal 3 right there. So the overall formal charge for sulfur in structure A is going to be +1. Now let's go to carbon. Carbon has 4 valence electrons. There is no non-bonding electron pairs surrounding this carbon, so that's why it is 0. And there are a total of 4 bonds coming off the carbon. So the overall formal charge off of this carbon is 0. Let's move on to the nitrogen. Nitrogen, it has 5 valence electrons. This nitrogen has 6 electrons involved in the lone pairs. It has 1 covalent bond coming off of it. So 5 minus 6 plus 1 gives us a formal charge of -2. All right, well, that's not very close to 0. So let's go on to structure B. In this situation, sulfur still has 6 valence electrons. Now we have 4 electrons involved in non-bonding pairs. There are 2 covalent bonds coming off of the sulfur, so there's 2. So if we work this out, for sulfur, we get 0. Going on to carbon, same thing as before. 4 valence electrons, no electrons involved in lone pairs, and then it has 4 bonds coming off of this carbon. So the overall formal charge, 0. Now we have nitrogen. Nitrogen has 5 valence electrons. It has 4 electrons involved in lone pairs. It has 2 bonds coming off of it, which is that 2 right here. Formal charge for nitrogen is -1. Okay, let's look at structure C. Sulfur, 6 valence electrons. 6 electrons involved in lone pairs. 1 bond coming off of it. 1. The formal charge for the sulfur here is -1. Carbon, not much changing here, still is going to be 0. And then nitrogen, 5 valence electrons, 2 electrons involved in lone pairs, 3 bonds coming off of the nitrogen, overall formal charge, 0. So you might be saying to yourself, well, we know A is out. A is definitely out because B and C are much closer to 0 than structure A is. So now the difference is in B, nitrogen has the -1 charge, while in C, sulfur has the -1 charge. So which structure minimizes the formal charges for each atom? Justify your choice. If you picked B, you were correct. So structure B is the optimal structure with formal charges of S equaling 0, carbon equaling 0, and nitrogen equaling -1. This is the structure where the formal charges are closest to 0, with the -1 assigned to the most electronegative element, where nitrogen has an electronegativity of 3 versus sulfur, which has an electronegativity of 2.6. That is why B is a better option. Let's look at another example. Determine the optimal structure for each substance. Calculate the formal charges for each atom in the following chemical species to justify the most stable structure for carbon dioxide. And you might say to yourself, Dr. English, come on now. I already know that B is the best structure because I've been drawing it for forever. Okay, humor me though. Let's just figure out why B is the best structure here. So let's look at structure A. So in this first oxygen, we know that oxygen has 6 valence electrons. 2 electrons are involved in lone pairs, and this oxygen has a triple bond. Triple bond, 3 is going to be right there. So the formal charge for the oxygen with 1 lone pair is going to be +1. For the carbon, again, looking very familiar, 4 valence electrons, no lone pairs, 4 bonds coming off the carbon, 3 here, 1 here, total of 4. Formal charge is 0. And then for this last oxygen, because notice, we just can't say oxygen because the first oxygen has 1 lone pair and this last oxygen has 3 lone pairs. Oxygen has 6 valence electrons. It has 6 electrons involved in lone pairs, 2, 4, and 6. It has 1 bond coming off of the oxygen right there. So the overall formal charge for my bottom oxygen is -1. Let's compare that now to structure B. So the first oxygen has 2 lone pairs. We know that oxygen has 6 valence electrons minus 4 electrons involved in the non-bonding electron pairs, 2 here, 2 here, and it forms 2 bonds coming off of it attached to carbon. So the overall formal charge for this oxygen is 0. And then we have the carbon, 4 valence electrons associated with carbon, 0 non-bonding electron pairs. There are 4 bonds coming off this carbon, 2 here, 2 here. The overall formal charge, 0. And notice here, I don't have to do oxygen again. I had to do oxygen on the bottom over in structure A because the number of lone pairs were different. Over in structure B, it'd be sort of redundant because, it's the exact same thing, which is why I totally did not do that. So, which structure minimizes the formal charges for each atom? Justify your choice. Of course, you should have chosen structure B. So structure B is the optimal structure with formal charges of carbon equaling 0 and oxygen equaling 0. This is the structure where the formal charges are all 0 compared to structure A where carbon is equal to 0, oxygen with 1 lone pair is +1, and oxygen with 3 non-bonding pairs of electrons is -1. We want to pick the structure that is closest to 0. Let's look at our next example. Determine the formal charges for each atom in the following chemical species. This time we're going to look at the polyatomic, the cyanide ion, Cn-1. So what do we have to work with here? Well, we have a carbon that has 4 valence electrons for a total of 4 electrons to work with. Then we have nitrogen, 5 valence electrons, 5 electrons to work with. Then we have this -1 ion charge. So that's going to give us another electron to work with for a total number of electrons of 10, which means that we're going to have 5 electron pairs. So how is this going to work out bringing the carbon and the nitrogen together? So we have carbon and then we also have nitrogen. With the carbon we have 4 valence electrons, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then with the nitrogen, we have 5 valence electrons, 1, 2, 3, 4. And for this 5th valence electrons, instead of putting it up at the top, I'm going to put it as far away as possible from my bonding electron. So I'm going to put it right here. Then I'm going to bring these electrons together. So 1 and 2 coming from the nitrogen, 3 and 4, for a total number of 6 electrons in the center between the nitrogen and the carbon, which will ultimately result in a triple bond between the carbon and the nitrogen, which I'll show you in a moment. But we also have this extra electron coming from the polyatomic ion, and the only place right now that I can put it is on the carbon. So that green dot is representing that negative ion charge. And the reason why I did not put it on the nitrogen was because nitrogen already has its full octet. Because when we look at the structure here, we can see that the nitrogen has its full octet, the carbon has its full octet, and we have that overall -1 charge. Now, let's say for the sake of just looking at resonance structures, that we did not put that negative ion on the carbon because we know out of the two, carbon is the less electronegative element. What would that look like if we gave that extra electron to the nitrogen? So we have carbon and nitrogen. Carbon will have its 4 valence electrons, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the nitrogen will have its 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I'm going to move my electrons into bond. So one from the nitrogen, one from the carbon, and then instead of giving that extra ion charge to the carbon like I did above, what happens if I give it to the nitrogen? Because the nitrogen is the more electronegative element. So I'm going to put that extra ion charge at the bottom. Now, what does the structure look like for this one? Well, it looks something like this. So now you have two potential structures, and you have to ask yourself, which one is the better structure? So we go to doing formal charges. So for the top one, we have our carbon with its 4 valence electrons, 2 electrons involved in non-bonding electrons. And then we have 3 bonds occurring between the carbon and the nitrogen for an overall charge of -1. Then we have the nitrogen. It has 5 valence electrons. It has 2 electrons involved in the lone pair right here. It is forming 3 bonds between the nitrogen and the carbon. So that gives me an overall formal charge of 0. Then if we look at the bottom structure, we have carbon, 4 valence electrons, 2 electrons involved in the lone pair, 2 bonds between the carbon and the nitrogen for an overall charge of 0. And then for the nitrogen, 5 valence electrons, 4 electrons involved in lone pairs, 2 bonds between the nitrogen and the carbon, and then we have an overall charge of -1. Now, if we were trying to determine the structures, like which one is the better structure, typically we would go with the one where the extra electron is with the more electronegative element, which in this case is definitely nitrogen. But there's other things to consider here. So the topmost Lewis structure is the most favorable of the two, as each element has a full octet, even though the additional electron is assigned to the less electronegative element carbon. In the bottommost structure, the additional electron is assigned to the more electronegative element nitrogen. However, carbon is electron deficient, and that is the critical difference here. In the top one, they all have their full octet. In the bottom one, the carbon is electron deficient. So in other words, carbon does not have a full octet of valence electrons. Thus, the bottommost structure is not a viable Lewis structure. So when in doubt, even though past practice has said, hey, assign that extra electron to your more electronegative element, go with the one that will achieve that stable structure, that full octet for both elements. So what did you learn? We went over the definition of formal charge. We talked about how to determine the formal charge, the purpose of formal charges, and then did some worked examples at the end. Need more help? Feel free to contact me. Have a great day.